Yes, legends, how is everybody doing today? After the FOMC meeting, we did end up getting a fall to the downside. Let's analyze the situation here all together. Make sure to absolutely destroy that like button on your way in if you do enjoy the content, guys. And let's say hello to the beautiful community. First of all, how's everybody doing, guys? Hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. Let's say hello to the legends, right? Let's say hello to the legends. Now, let me know, are you feeling bearish, bullish? And let's crack on, guys. We've got some moves detected. And we like to talk about them here on stream. But first is first. We're actually feeling a bit bearish yesterday, not looking at the chat. We almost hit the highs yesterday, huh? That was I have to say, I didn't short this, guys. I missed out on this short. Okay, I was just after the stream, I crashed into some other streams, Jason Casper, Tom Crown, just to make a bit of noise, and then I went off to bed. Okay, and we ended up getting the rejection here. Missed it by I don't know, was it $100, $200? Missed by $200, not even that, to hit those highs. Cheeky Bitcoin. I was feeling more bearish yesterday, believing that we were not going to take out these highs and that we were going to form a lower high. Of course, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be complex. Will we SFP from this level? Will we hit the point of control of this range? Will we hit the 0.88? Right? It's while we have that news, you're going to get that volatility, right? We know that we're going to get that volatility. It's not going to be an easy game, but the directional bias was correct. The directional bias was correct to get that move to the downside. And we talked about it on yesterday's stream, right? That was the main general thing on yesterday's stream. Do not believe that we're going to take out these highs. When I did see the chart, I was like, damn, that was pretty damn close. This was the scenario, right? Cheeky pump all the way up to the 7.8, the point of control, even hitting the 0.88, getting above $94,000 without taking the high. And the Picasso drawing, guys, ended up playing out, we would say, right? The prediction of the drawings on the chart is exactly what happened. It seemed like market makers were following up here, the Picasso drawing, and we ended up getting that dump and that lower high, missing by a couple of $100, those highs right there. So regardless the news, the FOMC, and anything else, sometimes we have that gut feeling of what could happen, right? What could happen? It looks like it's going to pop out, and just by a couple of $100, we take the dump of over $4,000, even $5,000, right? In the last 24 hours following the Picasso drawing, guys. So what do we have next with this move? We're going to break it down, guys. We know every day there's new information, there's new moves detected, there's new possibilities. I don't know, whoever shorted in this range, I have to acknowledge that this was not an easy short. However, we did clear out on yesterday's stream that, if this is going to be an impulse and this is a flat, or even this being an impulse right over here, why not? 5-wave structure. Still, you could still crack it in, even though I didn't like this as a 5-waver. This was explained yesterday. Well, this does look a bit 3-wavy. Doesn't really matter. Okay, the overall prediction was forming a lower high here, and your hard invalidation, look no further, it is the high, right? It is that high right over here at 94.6K. So anybody that was feeling brave and wanted to enter some shorts here at the golden pocket 7-8 zone, right? You could have taken the chance, right? Based on the probability side of, but however, though, the market is cheeky, guys, right? The market is not going to make it easy for us to take that decision, because I wasn't in front of the chart. But if I would have been in front of the chart, seeing this pumpy momentum just about to take out this high, even though it was my favorite scenario to form a lower high in this region, right? As we were explaining on yesterday's stream, man, was not an easy decision, I have to say, right? Whoever got into the short had balls of steel, then absolutely wonderful, guys. What can I say, right? Congrats, whoever, felt brave enough to get into that short position. Guys, before we do start off with the stream today and talking about the different movements and scenarios, make sure to understand that this content is for educational purposes only, okay, and is not financial advice. The information provided is not guaranteed to be accurate, even though we got a pretty accurate Picasso drawing yesterday, or complete. Always conduct your own research before making any financial decisions, okay? This is just a guy on the internet, on YouTube, giving his opinion, and should not be treated, okay, as financial advice or any type of investment advice, okay? Very important, guys. Before, I got a strike a few weeks ago on YouTube, and we want to keep this clear. It's only entertainment, education, right, and trying to predict some movements on the market. Let's go right away through the comment section. Say hello to the beautiful community. Let me know if the connection is good, guys. I'm having some red lights here. Okay, everything seems good. Let's say hello to the legends and see what is going on, okay? See what's going on. Hello, legends. Toddy, how are you? Staffer1, the legend himself. My man, thank you for joining the stream. I'm doing pretty good, okay? Slap the like button gently, okay? Staffer here with a decentralized platform. Absolute legend. Velto, guys, go and check it out. Hi people, Simple Jack, Simple 3 Jack, how are you doing? Meme Cat, good morning. Gurus, welcome to another episode. Yes sir, that is damn right. Wait, not here. Yes, finally, I am here. Please don't stop with the update videos, Andy. Thank you. You're very welcome, my man. I will not stop if I do see people enjoying, commenting, smashing the like button. I will stick around, okay? Yo, Andy, how are you doing, brother? I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty good. I hope everybody's doing well also. Muy importante. Keeping fit, healthy, eating well, spending time with friends and family, enjoying life, most importantly, and not trying, not stick to the charts, 24/7, which, obviously people that are really take trading and technical analysis as a passion, such as myself, it's very, very difficult, right, to disconnect. I've been actually pretty good disconnecting on the chart, okay, and everything a lot of the times lately, because it just really can drain you. So it is important, guys, to just forget about the charts once in a while, right? Colorado loves you. Toddy B, much love to you, my man, okay? UAE loves you, or Spain, where I'm from, loves you too. Midweek reveal is soon. Yeah, Andy, save us. Rag Capital, much love, my man. I can only give you a little bit of my opinion, okay? A little bit of risk management education, a little bit of Elliott wave theory education, look at some levels, what the price action could do, right? And basically try and figure out. Thank you, Andy, best Elliott wave guy on YouTube. Much love to you. Thank you very much. I'm detecting a British accent. Yes, very true. My mother is from the Isle of Man, so British indeed. Yes, East Midlands accent, I reckon. Isle of Man, where TT Racing is. Anybody knows about TT Racing? Well, my mother is from there, from the Isle of Man. Best morning show in crypto. Good morning, Steel Stone. Thank you very much, my man. Spain, my wife and her family are from Tarragona, Spain. Absolutely awesome. I'm from Palma de Mallorca. Let's go through Bitcoin. I'll go through the comment section later on, guys, but it's time to break down what is going on here with Bitcoin. I'm a little bit skeptical about this little range that we formed, this dead cat bounce, that looks like it's going to roll over and claim the lows, okay? It looks like it's going to roll over and claim the lows. It does look like it. But I'm a little bit skeptical here. I would prefer the lows to be claimed eventually. But there is a scenario where it doesn't, right? Where it forms a cheeky higher low and it claims the local highs. we're going to go through a little bit of the details here. I'm really not that interested in doing anything here at the moment, okay? This is a bit of a no trade zone because I'm a little bit in doubt, right? And when I'm in doubt, then eventually I kind of don't want to do anything at the moment. I would prefer to have the move down because that's where, you know, we could see some opportunities, okay? That's where we could see some opportunities based on some Confluence areas that we do have, okay? There's a, you know, we did create a small little swing failure pattern. We love those swing little failure patterns, right? We got the pivot lows here from Tuesday, Monday, okay? That did create that swing failure pattern with the drop that we had early this morning, right over here, okay? Did create that swing failure pattern to the upside. Also, yeah, well, we did no major levels, basically getting the base, this base, right? And getting a little dead cat bounce. Nothing too major, not too much volatility, obviously, after the FOMC meeting. Got the volatility down yesterday, early this morning. And now, you know, dead cat bounce. Aggressive long trade, I have to say. It's a bit of an aggressive long one. These SFPs from higher time frame, they're always kind of acceptable to take. I would say they are acceptable to take. This range is a little bit confusing for me, but there are a few scenarios that would develop that I want to explain on this stream that I would be more interested in getting new information, right? Sometimes it's all about getting new information, getting a bit of a local volatility here. It just really, you know, I kind of, you know, I was kind of feeling a little bit anxious to get into a long in this movement. And I will explain here, just to claim these local highs, kind of an internal scalp. But I rather, you know, instead of speculating, right, on something that I'm not sure about, even though my gut is saying, oh, come on, get into a long here on this higher low region because we're going to get these highs right now and it's not going to roll over. And it all has to do with time. This is, you know, this is if we do zoom in throughout the price action that we had on yesterday's dump, right? Because right now, I couldn't care less when I'm looking at internal technical analysis on the 15-minute, 5-minute time frame of what's happened here, right? This is history. I don't care, right? Obviously, we're taking it into consideration on the 1 hourly time frame, which we can get to later on. But right now, I'm very interested on the pivot high, okay? Because I am trying to figure out what is happening here, right? And that's what we do as technical analysts and Elliott wave theorists, right? We actually want to know the latest wave, right? What's happening in the latest wave? When we zoom out, nothing has changed too much, right? We're still very much in this kind of big, you know, rangy, uptrend rangy structure, right? That does look like a bit bearish, but there are many local bullish scenarios. Anyway, I want to go step by step. It is best to go from higher time frame to lower time frame, but I kind of just want to talk about what's happening, you know, in this area and realize, you know, where the local opportunities could lie on. Okay, so yeah, yesterday my bias was feeling more bearish. We actually created a poll yesterday. There's no rush, guys, here, okay? I'm not really interested in doing anything here, okay? So this is why you might think, come on, do the analysis, right? Tell us what could happen, right? What are the different movements and where do the opportunities lie? The ones that I'm looking at. There's no rush, okay? There's no rush. This is like a little bit of a zone that I'm not interested in doing anything. I need the movement up and then we'll analyze, or I need the movement down, okay? And that's what I want to break down in today's live stream, okay? So there's really no rush, okay? But I just wanted to go through a little bit yesterday and a little bit of education. It was pretty interesting. I did a poll yesterday saying what does happen after the, you know, interest rate decision and the FOMC press conference, and one of the votes was a pump and dump, and that vote got over 40%, okay, of voters. I think there were, I'm not sure what was the other one, which was the second one, which got 30%, but the pump and dump was the favorite scenario, which is literally kind of what happened, right? Because the news event happened in this area, right? And we ended up getting that aftermath pump, right? and ending up with a dump. So yeah, whoever was on the stream yesterday, good call, right? I have to say, you know, the voters were actually happy about that scenario, and that was the scenario that happened. We actually pumped after the news, throughout the news, and then we got the dump, right? And that was also my favorite scenario, forming a lower high, which was, my goodness, that was close. That was close, right? We're doing a bit of drawing. It might hit the golden pocket 7-8, the point of control. It might stretch its legs to the 0.88, which is at 94.3, and it ended up rolling down. So that's what happened here. So yeah, we'll be talking a little bit of the scenarios right now. I really don't like this range. This range is taking a little bit of. The music is probably too loud, guys. Let me know in the comment section. About yeah, there we go. We're getting a bit of a pumpy action right now. Yeah, this is a very, very trappy range, guys. I will explain why. Why, if we do claim the highs here of this range, okay? Because when it looks to roll over and it takes too much time, you know, I kind of don't like it, right? I don't like this. This is the kind of most of the traders would expect, and it could happen eventually, but I think this is just experience as well. You would expect that low to be claimed, and then it forms a higher low and pops up, right? I've seen it before, right? I've seen it before, and just taking into consideration that could happen. So I'm really not too interested anything here. I mean, you could have risked, you know, a long position. This is your invalidation. The risk reward is not that massive, okay? But anybody that's interested in taking some scalp trades, well, you know, there was a kind of a bit of a risky long, not too much risk reward of a long position here to take out the local highs. Sorry, I've got a super chat here. Let's go long here. Well, I mean, you had the option. Okay, I didn't want to give it. I already said that this is a very, very trappy dead cat bounce, where it looks like it's gonna dead cat bounce and claim the low, but it ends up not doing this, and it ends up, you know, doing this, and it's probably what we're going to see here in the next coming minutes throughout the stream. And it all has to do with time, okay? I will explain that, because you might think, well, how, you know, why would you come with that idea? Because this does look like just a general dead cat bounce, that it's just going to take out the low, right? That's what you would, you know, expect by looking at the chart here. However, it all has to do with time, and it all has to do with these micro waves. If you are trying to spot this as still a wave 4 and then a wave 5 from this little movement that happened, and there is a problem. This momentum to the upside and this range is extending too much in time to be part of this impulsive move to the downside, if we're considering a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I'll go a little bit more in detail on that, because that's a bit of a crappy explanation. But yeah, that was the main reason that I'm not trusting this dead cat bounce to claim the lows. I'm not trusting it because of timing. Anyway, I'll go into detail. I just want to break down what happened back in, because we got the same kind of scenario that happened in October, guys. Who remembers this swing failure pattern from $116,000, the lower high that we created in October, right, which was this one right over here. I'm not sure if I'm in the middle. No, we're good. And we formed this lower high. We created this swing failure pattern, right, which is an acceptable short trade entry. I got someone asking me this in the pro community, because you know, when you hit the 0.88 Fibonacci, it is a rare target for a wave 2, but it doesn't mean it's 100% accurate. Okay, just decreases slightly the probability that you do hit. If you do hit the 0.88 Fibonacci, right, when you do take a look at this latest move down, when we've got that swing failure pattern, it's rare for a wave 2. However, man, we never came back. We never came back to the $116,000, and we just continued aggressively moving down. And this is, you know, this is literally kind of what happened yesterday. Create a swing failure pattern, come up and back test it to stop out all of those people that shorted the swing failure pattern or entered late and stopping them out, getting them fearful, right? And then moving down. It's just, it happens. It happens, right? I wouldn't say quite a lot, but this was basically what we mentioned yesterday. You know, the rally all the way up to back test, you know, the green box that we had here. And that green box, let me just explain right away what that green box was. It was literally, you know, the green box from these highs right there, okay? Which is, you know, back test this zone, which whoever took shorts from this swing failure pattern failed auction, if you wish, on Tuesday, and, you know, protected position, not leaving stop loss at the highs, because a lot of people would protect their position, right? Stop loss here. Oh, I'm in profits. I'm going to protect my position. And what this does, it stops all of those people, right? And then goes without them. And that literally happened in October. The same scenario happened in October at $116,000, where you had a swing failure pattern from the pivot high right over here. This was from the 3rd of December. And then coming up without taking out the highs to then roll over, right? And when we do zoom out to October, you know, the same thing happened here. Swing failure pattern, back test, almost taking out the highs, and then going down, right? So just an interesting take that I wanted to point out there from yesterday's price action. Okay, so yeah, I would say there's no rush in this zone, guys. Bear with me here. Okay, I will break down a little bit of what I'm looking at here, what I would like to see next movements. What I would like to see doesn't mean it needs to happen, right? This happens a lot on my live streams where, yeah, many times we'll talk about a few scenarios and where the opportunities lie. And sometimes we'll talk about 3-4 things and none of them happen. Price just forms something completely different. So yeah, let's break down, right, the technical analysis already. Okay, I think it's about time. Let's zoom out. You need to let me zoom out on the 1 hourly first, guys, just so we are aware of what we could be looking at with this structure. Okay, just so we are aware of what we could be looking at here and where I do see the opportunities. Okay, at this moment in this little range, I'm kind of not really bothered here of doing anything, me personally. Okay, so yeah, you could say, as mentioned, try and long that higher low. Because of timing, you need to take many things into consideration. But yeah, quickly go through the comment section for the new people that are joining in, okay? And let me go through that super chat. Sorry, my bad. Botanic, much love, my man. Thanks for the 10 euros. Absolute legend. Just wanted to thank you for your analysis and education based off it made a chunk of profits yesterday. You're the man. That is very nice to hear from someone giving a super chat. Making a chunk of profits. No financial advice. Okay, I hope it connected with your own analysis and you just thanking me to see, you know, basically that it did fit in also with your analysis. Okay, I'm super happy to see these super chats thanking me about this. I guess it was this scenario, right? I guess it was the scenario that I prefer, and I do think that there's higher probability in forming a lower high in this region. Maybe you know you had the guts. I went to bed, guys. You know, I didn't short this. So Sometimes it's pretty epic. Like, you know, what? You didn't trade your own analysis? What's going on? It was late, guys. I went to bed, and, you know, for me, it doesn't really matter. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I'm here for you guys. So, yeah, it's about time. Okay, hello to everybody that's joining. Thank you very much for joining and smashing up the like button. Absolute legends. I don't think we see 94K again. Yeah, well, we got some interesting news as well. Guys, there's really no rush on the analysis. We're very, very rangy at this moment, and we need to kind of pop out. And when we pop out is where I'm going to explain a little bit of the movements that I would like to see, okay? And where I think there could be some opportunities, okay? So there's really no rush, right? Anybody that's here for rush, you know, scalps, this, that, where do I long, where do I short? Can't. Trading should be something that's very calm, guys. I've taken trading as very calm. If there's not a good opportunity, I will not get in, and that's it. And you will see how, if you treat trading as very calm, have very good risk management, okay? Also, another tip that I said the other day was try trading with small amounts that you don't care, right? Losing, right? $5, $10, $20, right? And, you know, dip your toes. Maybe $1,000 is not much to you, and you'll see how your trading does improve a lot, okay? It is just a psychology thing. Odds for Bitcoin hitting 100K by year end drop below 30% on Polymarket Money. This is interesting. This is a site, you know, obviously we're not promoting this at all. Okay, this is a bit of gambling kind of thing. Yeah, apparently a lot of people are not expecting even 100K, right, by the end of the year. We only have a few weeks left, and we are trading at 90K. So. But anyway, Bitcoin's Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin can have a move of $10,000 in a couple of days. So anyway, this is just an interesting take. People are betting that it's not going to happen. We're not going to see 100K before the end of the year. So that's just an interesting take that I wanted to talk about. Anyway, let's break down the analysis. Okay, now yes. Let's do a quick like recount. We've got 400 people watching. Like is what gives me power, guys, and motivation to do the analysis. Okay, so I need that like button. I need it. I need to see it popping and going higher and higher, and then it's like, yes, let's go. Let's break down the scenarios. Anyway, let's talk about the 1 hourly time frame. Okay, the momentum that started from the low at $80,500, the momentum that started from here. What is all of this? Is it the start of a major, bigger move to the upside? Do we have a finished structure here? And it's just time to go lower and lower and get below $80,000, right? I would say it's kind of about time, right? It's kind of about time. When I do take time into consideration and you see this dead cat bounce kind of scenario, right, from the 21st of November, it's about time that this already is finishing, right? And has to just, okay, you know, there's no power on this bounce. It's a staircase up, elevator down kind of thing, right? You must have heard that saying already, all right? If you've been in you know, doing technical analysis and trading for long enough. Staircase up, elevator down, and this does look a bit like a staircase up, right? In simple terms, a bear flag. But obviously what gives us that edge when we do Elliott wave theory is analyzing the possibilities of another leg up, just like we had last week, right? Or at the beginning of the week, actually. Yeah, end of last week, beginning of the week, where, you know, we were detecting this momentum and it seemed very much possible to get that push up to get above $94,000 based on the price action that was developed here. Okay, so that gives you that edge, right? Because a lot of people would be just, you know, maybe shorting here based on the bear flag, and obviously, you know, not knowing exactly with the timing and the waves that are on the formation. So when we do break down the 1 hourly, getting a little bit of a dump right now from this range. Yeah, it does look like it's going to roll over in the end. Bit of an aggressive move up. We didn't quite claim that high. Yeah, I'm just not interested in doing anything here, really. I was tempted to get into a long on the correction, but with this movement down, yeah, not really interested. I'm interested in getting the move down, and then we can speculate on a few things and a few levels, which I'm going to break down right away. Okay. So anyway, 1 hourly time frame before we hit those lows, if we do, because after those lows is where we are. I am interested in some levels. Okay. And if we move higher, I'm interested in some levels, higher levels. Okay. So let's see if I do have time and we continue in this range. But the higher time frame scenarios, yeah, this one pretty much invalidated. We didn't like this one anyway. 1 2 1 2, and this to be a 1 and a 2. Obviously this was taking a lot of time because we only had this pump over here to speculate on a wave 1, because all of this we were labeling as an entire correction for your wave 2. So your wave 2 ends up at the end of the triangle. So this is your wave 1. It would have to be your wave 1. And of course, this was just taking a long time. So this is when we came with a speculation yesterday of forming a lower high and getting the dump down, right? We're just not confident on the price moving higher. So this one has been invalidated basically because we claimed the lows of the triangle. So that's been invalidated. This is an interesting scenario, which we do have. This would be an impulsive move to the upside, wave 1, wave 2, same thing as the other one, wave 1 over here, and then this is just to be ready for higher time frame perspective, guys, because even the bearish case and the bullish one, they do point out the same structure. Okay, so you have your 1 2, your 1, and this being a 3 wave down, 3 wave up, and now your impulsive move to the downside being developed, okay, in a 5 wave structure, which what we would be looking at is, you know, this is going to be a little bit difficult because you might claim this low. You have the potential of claiming this low, but it's just having the higher time frame direction, okay, right, which is looking for a bounce in this area, okay, in this area, which is what we're going to try and detect now on the lower time frame, looking for that potential reversal bounce, okay, which we're just moving down at the moment. So yeah, we'll discuss this range, okay. I think there's no quick trade at the moment because we would have to get that breakdown and a little bit of choppiness. There is some aggressive reaction levels, which is a daily. I'm just going to point that out, guys, just because just in case we move down. But still, I would remain a little bit patient if we are going to break down with volume. It's a bit of a risky catch, in my opinion. It is a little bit of a risky catch. If we want to get into a daily level react, there's a daily level at 89,267. Little bit concerned about this as we're dropping down because volume could increase. I mean, the ideal scenario always is waiting for that high volume level to develop and then get the 4-5 scenario, right? That's when you're looking for the reversal bounce. That's where it becomes very interesting after the big move down. Sometimes the price will not do that, right? Sometimes the price will just hit the level and get an aggressive bounce, which I'm very much aware of. Aggressive entries, I just need to point them out here, guys, right? You got that higher low right over there sitting at 88.9k. Okay, there's a higher low here You got this daily level as well at 89,267. And this would be an interesting area, right? However, you know, the aggressive long trade, right? Always this, because you can always speculate on a flat here, where you know, you have a zigzag up and a zigzag down, and then the price suddenly shoots up very, very quickly and then claims all of these lower highs. I have to say, you know, it's trading a B wave of a flat, you know, becomes complex unless you get a major reaction either at the daily or either at this higher low. They become aggressive trades, and you need to manage risk like a beast just in case the price, you know, nukes down. And preferably these are the guidelines, right? If you were to form some kind of a flat, we're coming down into that daily level almost. If you were to form a flat, you need the quick reaction, the quick reaction bounce in this area, right? You don't want to break down successfully this pivot low. Which is kind of what happened here, right? This is what we talked about last week on Sunday, right? That a flat here could be the formation, right? We're coming into that daily, moving down a bit aggressively. They are aggressive sniper trades, I have to say. We just tap that daily. You know, it is aggressive without a doubt. It is a bit of an aggressive trade. Daily has been tapped. You know, they're sniper trades, right? They sniper trades. You want to be quite defensive. You don't want to get into the long as you bounce, because eventually you could still be developing the third wave down. Okay, they're very, very risky. You need to know how to handle them. Getting at the lows, you know, be very, very protective. And just understand that this could just follow through, right? They're not easy trade. I would, you know, obviously treat them as aggressive trade setups. They're just aggressive. You might get the bounce. Some people are not comfortable with them. It might hold, and then you suddenly rally throughout the next coming hours, right? To potentially form that flat. And you just need to understand that is a possibility, right? It is a possibility. And, you know, that they are sniper trades. You tap the daily, boom, you sniper in, right? Just to get in the lowest price possible. Because if you're entering right there, anybody that's not aware of a daily level, there's literally the daily time frame, right? When you go to the daily time frame, you have daily closes and opens that haven't been tapped yet, right? So this would be a daily level, as you can see, the close and open, daily level right over here, close and open. We haven't visited that daily. And you've got a daily level down over here, right? As you can see. Hopefully you can see this. Yeah. So, you know, sometimes they work pretty okay, right? They are aggressive trades. They are levels to react to. But, you know, as mentioned, they are they are aggressive, right? It's a sniper trade, and you need to maintain risk at all cost. And obviously, if you do get that bounce already of a few $100s, you know, it's literally snipering the lows, right? You just look at this. You just tapped that daily, and you have a few seconds, right? If you want to get an epic entry, and you know you want to put your stop loss, you know, close to break even, so you're managing risk very, very well, right? Not for everybody, right? These kind of trades are not for everybody. Obviously, when you combine it with Elliott wave theory, you need to have a reason to say, is it an acceptable long trade, right? Would this daily level, because there might be a daily level here, you know, and I would say based on the Elliott wave theory and the analysis, I'm kind of not interested in getting into that one. You know, you need to have a reason that, okay, if this is the aggressive move down, could this be a 3-wave up and a 3-wave down? to form a flat, right? And it just suddenly sweeps up the highs. It's possible, right? It is definitely possible. So you just need to maintain good risk management here, okay? No, don't go too crazy on these ones because they are aggressive, right? At the end of the day. The other level, which is interesting, is an SFP from this higher low pivot that we had on Sunday. Okay, you had this one that did act very nicely for that bounce. And then we have this one right over here, which is beneath the daily level. So if that daily level ends up breaking down, would still class it as an aggressive long, okay? If you trade beneath the daily, I would say, you know, you need to get out. You need to manage risk, right? You know, this could be a wave 3 developing, and we don't know how low it can go if we are considering a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It could be more aggressive than we think. So it's all being very defensive, right? Trading is all about being defensive. It's not about making gains. It's about protecting your capital, right? Most importantly. Of course, the gains will come, right? The gains will come if you manage risk and you know kind of what you're looking for. But you always need to be aware, right? Especially when you're combining Elliott wave theory. So if I'm seeing this as a wave 1, 2, 3, and this is your fourth wave, I understand that this fourth wave could still be a flat. Okay. Could have this been the fifth wave already? A little bit too shallow. You know, you need to come to the conclusion of what different movements can happen here. So this one right over here, this pivot right over here, would also be interesting. Okay, would also be interesting for a sniper trade, I have to say, because when the movement happens, right? When the bounce does potentially happen, then you kind of miss the move, right? If it does get that bounce, you kind of, you know, why didn't I get into the long? You know, where should I long? Where should I short? Obviously, you're sweeping some liquidity here. We're taking into consideration the possibility of a flat. It's a potential, and you want to have these levels as guidelines, right? These levels are barriers that are, you know, that can make you maintain good risk management, right? When you have levels on the chart, they are literally, you know, barriers. This, beneath this level, I am not interested in being in the long position. And this is a very, very common mistake that a lot of, you know, newish traders have. They're probably risking too much and they won't have a stop loss in place. And if it goes lower, they will just add to the position, right? Hoping that it, you know, this is a wave 5 and it has to reverse at some point. And then the wave 5 is brutal, right? You always need to be very, very defensive. So these levels are guidelines, right? If everything points out that, yes, the price could get a bounce in this region, you need to understand that if you don't get that reaction as you tap it to get into a quick entry, these are sniper trades, okay? There's other ways of trading eventually. These are the aggressive entries. If it moves beneath this level, I'm no longer interested in being in that long position. You know, I was just not. Why would you be in a long position if you're breaking the guideline? That daily level is your guideline. It gives you a potential sniper trade for entry and stop loss at the low. If you get the bounce, you want to be defensive, protect capital at all cost. If it then moves lower, then you know you've made a good decision there, right? I made a good decision. I protected. So your next aggressive level, just because it's a pivot higher low, would be this one right over here, right? This would be your next guideline level, which eventually you can get beneath it and then back above it, and take the decision as you get back above, because it could get that reaction, move to the upside, right, very, very quickly. And at the end of the day, it is a liquidity game also, where you just sweep up lows and you sweep up highs, right? So, but it's the guideline on say, okay, I like that higher low. Not every higher low is a good SFP, right? Not every single pivot is a good SFP. And you always need to consider the structure that you have formed to see if it is an available SFP. And why is this an available SFP of the daily or this pivot low? Because you could have a flat on the formation here. Okay, you have a big movement down, which we always want to, you know, try and class as a wave 3. The biggest move, you know, since you create a lower high here, right over here, you always want to class this as maybe wave 1 and wave 2. And the big move, you always want to class as a wave 3 till proven otherwise, right? Till you have something completely different, right? And this does something completely different later on. And you're like, okay, well, this was not a wave 3. So then you need to break down the next scenarios. So considering Elliott wave theory with this movement down, I know that this daily and this higher low are good, aggressive, you know, potential opportunities. Okay, it is Confluence, it's a daily, it's a liquidity grab higher low, and you have the flat idea, and also you have the possibility of this being a fifth wave as well, which I would consider a little bit too shallow and quick. Okay, it would be shallow and quick. I have to say, you would prefer to see a wave 5 a little bit more symmetrical with the timing from this momentum. Okay, I would class this as a very, very shallow fifth wave, guys. If we're considering the waves that we have had, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Remember this, we're labeling this as a flat in this case. You know, I'm not too sure if this would be the fifth wave, right? It would make sense for a flat and then a fifth wave, and then, you know, probably would be interesting to look for longs later on. But yeah, anyway, this would be just an aggressive scalp, guys. You know, this is not for a big move up to get up to 94k, right? I would consider this being a scalp, just to take out potentially these local highs of this range, right? This is not a kind of a long position at the daily that I would say, yeah, you know, we're going up to 94k right now. This is the low, right? Absolutely not. Could it be? Absolutely, but obviously this would be just an internal scalp to take out the local highs. Okay. Other scenarios, yeah, I was just too busy right now with the 15-minute time frame with that daily level reaction, and explaining why you know, you can consider this daily or this higher low as a liquidity grab. Also, you know, basically getting this structure in, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bit shallow. 1, 2, 3, 4 flat, sweep up the highs, and then create the fifth wave. Very, very possible. Okay, very, very possible. Right. We need to discuss a little bit of the possible formations here. Yeah, yeah. It's just, I had a few folders here, but we're just going to break it down from scratch, guys, just so you can see how we do it from zero, right? Going from the pivot high to the pivot low, analyzing the latest movements. I am mainly interested in this formation here. There is one bullish case scenario, which is a, you know, I could see some people, Devil talked about this, some of the legends also talked about this inside of the comment section in the pro community, which would be a contracting diagonal here. I mean, the only moment that I would consider this possible is when we form a 5-wave structure to the upside. When you get a pretty decent rally, okay, in a very 5-wave structure and a corrective move to the downside, then I would consider this, and saying, guys, you know what, this might be a good swing long, because this might take a few days to develop, all the way to take out the local highs. Okay, so we need a lot of information for this still yet, okay? And, obviously there's so many other scenarios that could play out. Even the high could be in here, okay? There is the potential of the high being in. And that's something that, we are at that moment where we want to be very, very confident in swing longs to take out 94K again, right? I was quite confident throughout the weekend, right? Mainly on Monday and Tuesday. The probabilities for me were higher to take out this high at 94K than actually breaking down below 87, based on that triangle formation, right, that we were talking about. Right now, I am skeptical about feeling bullish, right? We need some information, and this is what happens as you get that information. You're confident in saying, okay, there's higher probability in taking out the highs, right? If you ask me now, are the probabilities higher to take out the highs here at 94K, or is it higher to take out 84K? I would say I'm pretty neutral at the moment. I need a bit of more information to be confident, all right, on both scenarios when we consider a swing trade. And for this to believe that we are going to take out $94,000 after this aggressive move down that could be developing an impulsive move to the downside, or already developed, right? The movement up is going to literally give me all of the information that I need. And that is getting a pretty sharp, aggressive move up in a very detectable 5-wave structure, preferably, where the price then moves down in a very choppy, corrective kind of way. And then we could say, okay, then we could take into consideration the contracting diagonal here, to form the last 3-wave move up in the 5th wave. But as explained, we are adaptive traders. We adapt to the information that we get every day on the chart. So if I am going to take this scenario into consideration, unless you're snipering the lows, right, which is either the daily level or either an SFP level, or it might be the 7-8 Fibonacci from this pivot low to the pivot high, or it was also hit with that daily, okay. Unless you're getting into a sniper trade and catching the move down with good risk management and guidance, you got a guideline 7-8 Fibonacci, the daily. If you break that, you want to be out of the trade, right, kind of thing. Then what you need to wait for, okay, there's two types of trading for me. There's the aggressive trading, which is catching levels of confluence, right? For me, there's only two types of trading. Catching the levels of confluence, right? In this case, as explained, the daily level or that SFP level. Okay, this higher low right over here. Those are aggressive trades. They give you the best entry. They can also give you very good risk management if you know what you're doing, because you just snipe a trade on the reaction of the daily and your stop loss is very, very small. It's beneath the level. That's it. You need to live with it. You need to live of getting stopped out. But it gives you an epic entry, and it gives you a very good risk to reward if you're targeting the highs here, as you can see. On the other side, if you are feeling, if you are feeling bullish and you think that, price is going to pump back up to 94K, you need a reason. You need a reason on the chart to believe that that is going to happen. If you ask me if that's going to happen in the next coming days, I'm going to say I don't think so. I need some proof of strength. And in a nutshell, the proof of strength would be detecting some kind of a 5-wave move to the upside. Okay? And then obviously getting that 3-wave down, and your 3-wave down is confirmed once you overlap the pivot low and pivot high here. Once this price action happens after a 3-wave structure, you realize that, this is looking good to take out this high. And not only that, you're probably going to break out later on. That becomes your moment of interest once you detect, the sign of strength. And that's the moment that I would consider, okay, we may be looking at the contracting diagonal and we may be going to take out $94,000 again in the next coming days after forming this price action, right? After getting the impulsive move up, right? To the upside, where we can consider another 3-wave move to the upside, right? So it's all about being patient and realizing, getting that information from the candlesticks, right, and the waves, and saying, okay, now it looks likely that could happen. Just giving a few little explanations here on possible scenarios, right? This might be the scenario that plays out, but as explained, this is still very speculative, and a contracting diagonal doesn't have the highest probability when you consider other corrective structures, multiple 1-2s, contracting. All the diagonals are kind of your last option. They're always your last option, and obviously you want a wave 4 to be inside of a contracting diagonal or an expanding diagonal, which is even more rare. So you want that 4th wave to be in, and eventually it's very, very hard to speculate right now to say, okay, the 4th wave is going to be in. This is going to be a contracting diagonal. I'm certain, it's very, very likely. There's no high probability on this till you actually get the 4th wave to be in, be it here or be it lower. It doesn't really matter. Your invalidation is very far away. So you just don't really know. The moment you can speculate on this is literally getting into the 3rd wave. There's no other way. There's no other way to have that edge and being confident in that, that you're going to see a contracting diagonal develop here, because you need the 1st wave up. And as this is developed with 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, well, eventually if you get that sign of strength, be it, in the next couple of days or next week, because you might actually form a complex WXY here and then get the bounce in a 5-wave structure. And then, the moment you realize that you have a good chance, you want to get into the 3rd wave, right? This is the wave you want to be in. You want to be in this wave here, right? So we need a lot of information to be confident on, as a high probability, setup on this contracting diagonal. I've seen it, Devil was talking about it, and some people in the pro community were talking about it as well. But it's very, very hard. It's just this is the last scenario that you would want to take into consideration, just because they are rare. They are rare to happen. You don't see many diagonals on the chart. You do see them sometimes eventually, but it's just not a common thing, right? And we like common things. We like to see common things on the chart, and that's what we preferably prioritize, right, when we take into consideration our trading. So yeah, we would need to see an impulse up, 1st impulsive move up, right? There's just no other option, at least for me. If you want to try and catch the low, you can eventually, because trading is so maybe this ends up being the low, right, at the daily, and this gets an impulsive move up in the next coming hours between today and tomorrow, and then corrects down, and then it suddenly rallies, and you're like, oh, damn, well, you catch the fourth wave of the contracting diagonal. You catch the low of the contracting diagonal. That's absolutely awesome. However, the more conservative and patient traders will wait for the first leg up and the correction, right? They would want to have a bit of a confirmation to be confident then to get into that long position, right? So anyway, I'm not sure if any of you catch that daily level as a scalp, but let me tell you one thing: it would be time to start collecting some profits, okay, at the local highs here. Very aggressive trade, I have to say. Okay, guys, it is an aggressive entry, but nice little bounce of $1,000. It's an okay scalp trade. Let's take a look at the VWAP out of curiosity. Yeah, VWAP was acting as resistance today. Oh my goodness, the VWAP, the session VWAP was acting as resistance throughout the entire day today. Something that I did not check, but not that it would have given me any solid trade. Okay, so what if? Okay, let's get some other stuff ready. Not that we, I wouldn't be too confident myself. It might wick above the highs of the range and then reject, but I wouldn't be extremely confident, right? Sweep the lows, sweep the highs kind of thing, and you are downtrending and you have a potential flat. I would not. I personally would not. I preferred the daily level or the SFP. If you ask me, is this a good trade to get into a SFP, right? Sweep the lows of the range and sweep the highs of the range. I would say it is aggressive. It is a bit aggressive. You could always attempt it, right? You can always attempt it if you get the rejection, because sometimes it just happens. You sweep up the lows, you sweep up the highs, and then the price comes back down. Only if you reject, I would consider it a possible entry if it only wicks above it, right? A couple of $100. Other scenario, yeah, it's aggressive, I have to say. I prefer eventually the daily or this low. The daily was the one that got the reaction. This one, the problem is with the flat here. There's not that much confluence in my understanding, right? If I take a look at today's levels, they're very far away. Oh, sorry, previous day value zone. When we take a look at previous day value zone, yeah, I would not treat this as a awesome short, guys. Okay, there's a lot of there's this inefficiency right there. There's really not much resistance to consider a rejection here. Okay, so I would say that if it rejects, then okay, so be it. But I think we could go to higher levels here. Okay, just because of the because we don't have a daily, you don't have a previous day point of control, you don't have you got a bit of a fair value gap kind of dump, which is leaving you with not much resistance, unfortunately. And of course, it doesn't, you don't have a major big reason, only that flat scenario, which, even it still could be an expanding flat, which reaches the 1.618 extension, which is, very much far away at the $91,100. Would I consider the $91,100 as a potential short? maybe I would consider that level. 91,100 could be interesting here when we consider the flat. Okay, let me just quickly go through the music here. Yeah, 91,100 would be the 1.618 extension. Okay, to consider an expanding flat, which is the most common flat structure. What is interesting, if we are still considering for this to be okay, I'm just getting, okay, I'm considering this possibly to be the third wave, right, as explained at the beginning of the stream. Let me just quickly get my Elliott wave scenarios. There could be a discussion here. There could be a discussion where, is this wave 1 or is this wave 1? It doesn't really matter. Your wave 2 is here, that's it. So this is the biggest move down. Okay, as this is the biggest move to the downside, you know, we always want to try and label that as a possible wave 3, right? And then obviously you're looking for your fourth wave. Fourth wave targets, okay, just for anybody that doesn't know, is in between the 236 and the 50% Fibonacci. Obviously you don't want to overlap the wave 1 territory. That's coming already to the 50% Fibonacci. So you either reject at the 236 or you reject at the 382. You know, this is a bit of a sniper trade here, as mentioned. You know, it is a liquidity game at the end. Sweep up lows, sweep up highs. You are rejecting right now a little bit. I would rather see the level that I would like to personally see is 91,100 to 91,300, because that is the expanding flat target, which is the 1.618. 1.618 extension is actually a little bit lower than the 382 Fibonacci. Would be nice for that 1.618 to be exactly where the 1382 is, where the 382 is, which is not. Okay, so 91,100 is the 1.618 extension. It could get a bit of a reaction, but the thing I'm a little bit concerned about is that we don't have extra confluence here, unfortunately. We don't have extra confluence because we have that, you know, when you have such an aggressive move down here, you don't have resistance, right? This movement down doesn't leave us with some good resistance, right? No consolidation, no point of controls, and it becomes an area where the price could, you know, easily go to higher levels, right? It can actually move through. The only reason why I would give it a bit of priority to form a lower high here for this is because we moved down, right, pretty aggressively, you know, and when you try to, wave 4s are, you know, really not the best to trade. They are not the best to trade. Rather look for longs on your wave 5, preferably, right? Either if this is the fourth wave and this is the fifth wave, I would rather see this as a flat and the fifth wave is going to get developed. That's what I would rather want to see, because this to be a fifth wave is very, very small. Okay, and it was a little bit of a 3-wave structure. It was a bit of a 3-wave move here to the downside. So I am personally prioritizing the flat here. Obviously you have, you know, when you want to short a flat, the C wave of a flat, I mean, it becomes a little bit complex, I have to say. You know, sometimes it SFPs from your A wave, sometimes it extends all the way to the 1.618. And the 1.618 is the most common flat target area, and that is coming in at 91,100. So, you know, you kind of treat this as an SFP zone, 91,100 for the expanding flat, and then obviously you look for the move down in that fifth wave. Yeah. It is interesting, of course. A flat can be a regular flat, which it just claims the lows of the start of the A wave and the highs of the C wave, and then it just starts rolling over. You know, flats are they're not easy to trade, not easy, unless you just SFP from the lows, SFP from the range highs. You're in and you're out. Don't overcomplicate. That's it, right? So, this would be what I would be prioritizing at the moment, based on the information that we have. Okay, you know, I cannot speculate on something else, because we do have the movement down, a lower high, a big move down, a very, very longy, rangy structure. We did have a very long wave too, especially if we consider this a flat, expanding flat. You know, it just makes sense that this is potentially still the wave 4 formation in that flat. Of course, there is that tiny possibility. I would be cautious right now with that SFP, okay? If we were to roll down from here, anyway, I would say that there's a small chance that this is the wave 4 and this is the wave 5. Just because wave 5 is very small and it does look very 3-wavy. Okay, this was the same detection that we had on Sunday, guys. Who remembers Sunday? You know, if we overlap, okay, we want to see either 4-5, or we either want to see overlap from this pivot low, you know, hitting the golden pocket from the wave 3 potential. That's the moment that you realize that this is bullish, right? Well, bullish, it's going to take out this high very, very likely, right? So this is kind of a bit of the same scenario where you had, it did look very 3-wavy. If that third wave does not get continuation down, you got two options. You aggressively getting into the SFP at one of the Confluence levels. In this case, it was the daily. I mean, if you're going to long halfway through already here, it's just not worth it that much. Risk to reward is not that worth it. But also something that you could take into consideration. You know, once you get all the way up to this pivot low, the probability is increased to take out the high, okay? Because you formed a 3-wave down. So yeah, there is a small chance that this could have been the 5th wave. Very small chance. I prefer, if that is the case, then eventually the local low is in, and what we would want to see eventually here is a 5-wave move to the upside. And then eventually the movement here is going to be our speculation, right, throughout tomorrow, maybe, that this is a correcting. Okay, it looks good, guys. We got a nice move, we got a nice bounce up, and we're correcting throughout Friday. Looks very choppy, looks very good. You know, then we can speculate, okay, this maybe is going to get a rally throughout the end of Friday, right? Anyways, just that's really pure speculation, but that's what we would want to see, right? To suddenly flip our, you know, the bearish bias into bullish bias, right? And look for the opportunities later on. Now, on the, I would prefer that we do form another low, okay? I would prefer this, as explained, that wave 5 is very small and it's very 3-wavy. So I would prefer, the flat formation here. Of course, the flat, could SFP from this local high or could hit the 1.618 extension, right? Let's leave it that way. maybe the high is in here, or maybe it creates one more high and then takes out the low. For the next movement down here, this is where it's not going to be the net. I do not like anymore this low for an SFP. I have to say, I prefer this one right over here, 87.7. This is very, very close to this low, and if we do consider this a flat structure, if you are going to form a 5 wave, I can already tell you that just claiming this low and creating an SFP from here is low probability. Because if you form a flat in a new independent wave, you're likely going to get a bit of a steeper move on the 5th wave. Because obviously you got that flat structure, okay? It's an independent wave. You're looking for a slightly bigger move to the downside. And then this SFP becomes interesting in my opinion, if we were to get down there. Anyway, whoever longed that daily level, absolute legend. As mentioned, it's a scalp, take out the highs, take some profits. Whoever shorted that SFP, well, absolute legend as well. Very, very quick trading right there. Quick decision. I don't like it too much on the short side, but it was very much acceptable to be taken. Anyway, if this ends up being a wave 3, wave 4 in a flat, and we start breaking down in the next coming hours, what we are wanting to detect is some kind of a 5 wave move down here to finish our 5th wave. If that big move down with high volume ends up getting a little consolidation, and then we can spot the 5th wave, because this is what it's all about, guys, right? It's all about detecting the movement. This is why, why was this daily level or this higher low, one of the two levels, why were they a good level for an SFP reaction to claim the local highs as a scalp? Not only because it's a daily, which is good enough, it's also understanding the waves that are on the formation, and a flat here was, a possibility. If you have this information and this information, you realize that a flat is possible. You realize that, a 5th wave is possible, even though a bit shallow, a bit quick, okay? So this is not saying that we are going to roll down from here, okay? Bear with me, because this is how you come to the conclusion on the setups. This is not how you come to, you literally, I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I understand that it could happen. I understand that this could be a completed flat. And where it will become interesting is if you roll down in the next coming hours and you can detect some kind of a 5 wave move to the downside. The 5th wave, once you get that big high volume move down, the 4th wave creates a stop, creates a little range, and the next leg down is where you are interested in getting into the long for the bounce, potentially to come all the way up to sweep up these highs, right? So that's how you would detect that long opportunity here. You're looking at a 5th wave and you're trying to spot the 5th wave inside of the 5th wave. And preferably that 5th wave ends up right at a liquidity grab zone, which is this higher low that we formed on Sunday at $87,700. So, this is just like creating plans, levels of interest. That's what you do. That's what I do every day, right? I create scenarios, create levels, and then, you're ready for some different movements that could happen. And it's almost certain that one movement is going to happen. Okay? Because there's only so many certain moves that you can form, right, in trading when you're looking at Elliott wave theory. And that's why, you know, this definitely gives you that edge. Devil, where is Devil? Is he around? Devil, the legend, Staffer one. Anyway, it is a bit of time for comment section here. It's time for a bit of comment section. This is the only thing that I could give you right now. Whoever got into that daily level, phenomenal. The highs were the TP zone, and the highs was an aggressive short, guys. You know, it is a bit of an aggressive entry sniper trade. Okay. If this ends up not rolling over and being a flat, right, out of speculation. So next zone of interest, zooming out, would be that higher low. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this, I think, yeah, I mean, it makes kind of sense. This has the possibility of being a very, very good swing long area. We got some pointer controls as well. Down below 86.9, 87.8. It is in our best interest to detect the fifth wave of the fifth wave. Okay. Why this scenario becomes so interesting to try and detect that fifth wave is because a significant bounce is very, very likely. Let me just clean up the chart here. I'm not interested too much in this SFP. But taking a look at the higher time frame possibilities, we do have the this one right over here, which is a double 1 2 1 2 1 and 2. You form a larger flat here, okay, and then you move to higher levels in the next coming weeks in a wave 3. There is low probability for this scenario, unfortunately, because your second wave 2 is more than twice the length of your first wave 2. And that is not preferred. That is definitely decreasing in probabilities, okay, for this scenario to then blast off in a wave 3. The other higher time frame, local bullish scenario, which would end up being bearish on the higher time frame, is forming a double zigzag, where you're looking for this to be a 5-wave move to the downside. And, you know, regardless if it's going to be bullish or bearish, you know, this is the bouncing zone. This is the bouncing area, and it's in our best interest to detect that fifth wave of the fifth wave, right? To really come into levels of confluence. Will it be this higher low, the SFPs? Maybe. Will we be coming down to a point of control at 86,900, for example? That's the first one. Maybe the third wave inside of the fifth wave is going to be, you know, very, very powerful. And you need that stop in the fourth wave to then, you know, speculate the fifth wave reversal, right? In that case. So both scenarios, either this one or either the double 1 2, not that one, that's the bearish case. We'll go through that right away. They're both looking for a bounce in this region, right? They're both looking for a reversal. So yeah, I mean, we just need to get that last fifth wave down and detect the fifth wave of the fifth wave. That's the only way. So we need that to happen. We need that information, right? I need that information. I need this to be potentially a fourth wave, maybe still developing, and I need that 5-wave move to the downside. Then I can say, okay, we've got a 5-wave structure from the high, and after a 5-wave move down, eventually on the fifth wave, we're looking for some kind of a bounce. That bounce gives us the potential for a 1 2 1 1 2 here, with the flat, right? If you have an ABC flat, that means that that could be the low, and we absolutely, you know, moon in the next coming weeks. It's not a bad swing trading zone. The other scenario is looking for a double zigzag, as explained, okay, which eventually would get that, you know, 3-wave structure to the upside. You've got a zigzag move up here, flat here in wave X, find support in this region, sweeping up the lows, liquidity, point of controls, get supported, and then you zigzag up to take above $94,000. you know, the thing is here, you're like, well, which one's going to happen, right? Well, you don't need to know. You need to be positioned, right? You need to know where you can position yourself. And as I explained, you know, we need that 5-wave structure to the downside from this point, so we can detect that, you know, opportunity. Obviously, there's some bearish case scenarios, without a doubt. You know, the high is in. You know, possibly the high could be in. Okay. The bearish case scenario is that the high is in, that double zigzag has played out. There is a valid count for the double zigzag that has played out here. Zigzag up in W, zigzag down in X, another zigzag up in wave Y, double zigzag. There is the potential of a completed double zigzag. That's where it becomes interesting. This is still looking at a 5-wave move down on the bearish case, which would be your wave 1. You're still looking for a bounce regardless, right? Bullish case, double 1-2 with a flat, you bounce in a 3rd wave. Bearish case, you bounce in a corrective structure once you get the 5th wave in. The bounce, you know, is something that is going to happen, right? However, we don't know how the bounce is going to develop. Will it be corrective? Will it be impulsive and you know, start moving up in a 3rd wave? Or will you form that zigzag, right, to form the other scenario, the double zigzag, counting all of this as a zigzag instead of this as a zigzag, right? So it doesn't really matter. The opportunity is there on the higher time frame for a swing long. Okay, so that's either this low or maybe breaking down. As mentioned, you need to detect that 5th wave of the 5th wave. It's the only way, guys. It's the only way. If you know another way, then let me know. Devil is around. What's up, legends? The man himself. Much love to you, Devil. Okay. Thank you for joining the live stream. I caught it, Andy. TP1 hit. Absolute legend. People getting into these sniper trades. The larger impulse down to new lows is still the greater probability, in my opinion. We did reject from a bearish backtest of key bull market fib channel. Andy, I'll cover it in my stream today. Absolutely awesome. Divine Hood also has a YouTube channel. Go and check him out, guys. Divine Hood also does technical analysis on Bitcoin. But yeah, he's talking about the larger move down. Without a doubt, this has priority when we do zoom out on the 4-hourly time frame. There's no doubt about it, right? That you would have to go. You would have to prioritize the downtrend, right? Could this be the wave 4 double zigzag? You need to prioritize the larger downtrend from all-time high, right? We are just trying to detect the internal movements on the different possibilities, right? But it is true that, you know, for the moment, with the information that we have, the bullish scenarios don't look too great. Okay, they don't look too great, which is the double 1-2, 1-2. The second wave 2 is extremely longer. You know, they just don't look great. They don't look great. And this is, you know, as they say, staircase up, elevator down. This does look very much like a staircase or a bear flag, right? In simple, basic matter here. So, yeah, much love to you, Divine Hood. Silver all-time high, absolutely awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Anyway, we've got some people catching some major trades from some levels on the stream. I caught it, says Keelan. I guess it was the daily level or the internal range highs to speculate on that flat. You know, aggressive but valid. Aggressive but valid. And also the daily level. So you got a bit of a combination there for a long take profit, maybe take the short, and then the short has priority, right? The short does have priority. Obviously, your TP1 would be the lows, but it has priority for the possibility of breaking down, right, in a 5-wave structure to complete that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So yeah, absolute legend. Who's feeling snipey then has caught a couple of moves throughout the stream on the levels that we talked about. We are mainly looking at higher time frame movements, but yeah, absolute legend right there, saying I caught the move. Guys, if you are interested in trading, make sure to remember that down below you got some awesome perks. Okay, Bluffin is one of the leading centralized exchanges in my opinion. Okay, high in volume, they're absolutely great, and you got some great perks, guys. They currently have the $1,000 bonus at the moment. If you deposit $7,000, you're getting $1,000 on top of that for your trading, which is absolutely phenomenal. Okay, it just gives you a bit of extra capital for your trading. Okay, check out the bonus. You are eligible for this once you sign up with the first link down below. And whoever's interested in trading in a decentralized way where you have full custody of your funds, there's no third party, guys. You got Velto. Velto is for me the next hyper liquid. Okay, they're gaining in traction. They are highly liquid, and you just connect your wallet directly, guys. So there's no middleman. And the fees are very competitive. They're actually a little bit cheaper than these centralized exchanges. And Velto is absolutely awesome. You can connect your Ledger, your MetaMask, any wallet, okay, to the platform, and you have full custody of your funds, guys, which is eventually the future, right, of trading. Check out Velto, guys. It's the second link down below, my go-to decentralized platform. Okay, absolutely awesome platform. 85k coming surely until Sunday. Very possible. Very possible. Yeah, it seems like that this has been the flat structure, guys. Seems like that this has been the flat. And we could see a little bit of a move down here. It is very much possible. I got some people saying that they got into the short position yesterday, guys. Man, we actually did the Picasso drawing, but to the T, guys. To the T, to the 0.88. This was like drawn randomly. Get up to the 0.88 and then collapse. Whoever, I got some people at the beginning of the stream saying that they did get into that short because the preferred scenario was forming a lower high here. You know, a lower high from 94.6k, which it did, right? It got cheeky, but very interesting to see eventually. And I did actually see some people getting into the short at the beginning of the stream, saying that they make, epic gains. I hit stop loss 2 position. I got in today at 90,500. Is that a long or a short? 90,500. Very nice. Very nice. You got into that SFP from the local highs of the range. Very good. Very good, legends. Not financial advice, obviously, though. 85 coming surely until Sunday, says my man here, the hard coin. Baby genius, much love. I took that long scalp, SFP 89.5, TP1, hit and stopped out. Absolutely awesome. Getting into those quick little scalps. Absolute legend, baby genius. Anchored VWAP from high of 2 comes in around 91k. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because we do have anchored VWAP from the high. Anchored VWAP here from this pivot high, or from this high. Not sure which one you're looking at. Yeah, from this one. Interesante. You can always take them into consideration. If this flat hasn't finished, which maybe has the potential, right? You got a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. It gets a bit choppy here. That is coming in at the 1.618 extension, which is interesting with that anchored VWAP. Could be taken as a sniper. If you break that level, then you're not interested. Interesting. Could be a bit of a sniper reaction trade if it were to suddenly push up from here, still considering the flat valid. Also got in yesterday with the help of you at 93.1. It was when you just missed out on the when you said you weren't concentrating. Okay, yeah, on this one, right? on that SFP here that we had. First SFP that did not happen on Bybit and on some future exchanges, but it did on Coinbase. But yeah, as mentioned, you know, if you want to leave your emotions out of the game, yesterday we preferred this to be impulsive, or you could even count this as a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4 and 5, and then this the correction. It doesn't really matter, flat or a correction here in a zigzag. You know, the idea was to form a lower high. And you know, if you want to kind of don't leave your emotions out, you know, you're lowering risk, you're entering somewhere in this zone, and your stop loss is the high, and you're literally targeting the lows and even lower, right? If you are going to break the, if you are going to come down to this low, you're likely going to roll over. So you're going to have, you know, we basically drew it on the chart yesterday, right? A lower high somewhere in this region. Your invalidation is the high, and you know, if you take out this low, it's likely going to roll over a couple of $1,000. So whoever got into that trade then obviously made some gains. Yeah, not much more. It's a bear flag, mate. It is, I know, man. King of Neptune. Yeah, the probabilities, we might get new information in the next coming days, which turns out to be bullish. Okay, as explained, if we move up between today and tomorrow in a 5-wave move to the upside, you know, I'm going to give, I will be looking for longs. I will be looking for new longs eventually to take out $94,000, very highly likely, either in the contracting diagonal, or, you know, I would prioritize that pattern. And obviously the target would be the highs first of all. So let's see, guys. Let's see what happens in the next 24 hours. We'll get some more information and some more scenarios. That's what we do here on the channel, guys. And if you do enjoy that, make sure to smash up the like button and leave a comment after the stream ends. Okay, it does support me. Could you look at SEC? Shall we take a look at some altcoins? I know a lot of the people hate it when I take a look at altcoins. Let's see if TradingView wants to load. Zcash. Let's take a look at Zcash. Why not? This has been a banger. This crypto has been a banger throughout the last few months. It did a 10x, guys, in 2 months. Absolute insane. What can we talk about this one? Already, I don't feel like taking a look at it. When you got such a massive move up, you know, we can actually talk about this internal movement to the upside. It's kind of interesting where it is at the moment, where it could be a double 1-2. I mean, man, this is really going to take a bit of time if I want to analyze this properly. Let's take a look at the fixed range profile. Highest volume node here on Zcash is sitting here at $520. Biggest, highest volume node from this range. And if we take Fibonacci from the highs to the lows, we got 50% Fibonacci coming in at 520, which is with that high volume node. Could get a reaction, could get a little pullback in that area. But it is actually building up the momentum. It might look corrective, but you always want to consider a multiple 1-2, and it's just ready to pop out here. 1-2, 1 and 2, and it's just ready to start rallying here. Very much a possibility. Not much. I need to get daily levels, pointer controls. This is going to take a long time, guys, to literally do proper analysis, and it's just going to take at least 10 minutes. Main levels for the week: resistance, sell zones, India, GK. Yeah, I wish it would be that easy, right? Levels of resistance and levels of support, right, to sell or long. I wish it would be that easy. But good one, man. Hi Andy, I'm eyeing a short on BARD from 0.96 SFP. Can you take a look? A quick look. Power trip from on BARD. What is this? BARD. What is this? Doing a bit of a comment section right now, guys. BARD, is it a crypto? On this? BARD. I have no idea what this is. Wow. I mean, yeah, if you are looking to short this, what can I say? Oh man, my Tradingview is not playing ball here. It's lagging like crazy. I need to close some windows and been streaming for quite a bit here. You're looking for a short at 90. Where is it? 0.9662 SFP. Yeah, maybe those lower highs. I mean, come on. This is, these altcoins. I mean, look at the state of this chart. This volatility is absolute insanity. Stay cautious, guys, if you want to trade these kind of coins. I don't know what that, I would even prefer that lower high at $1.02. Okay, instead of this one right over here. I would prefer the higher one. But man, stay cautious with these coins. This is an absolute mess. Look at the wicks that this creates. It's just, for me, I don't see high probability trade setups on these kind of coins. I'd rather stick to Bitcoin. What happened to ICP? It pumped up like crazy. Now it's in a weird phase. I have no idea on ICP. I just decided to hold the rest of the bags because I did sell some. I did say this on a live stream. I'm going to get out, guys, at above $8. Get my initial investment out because I did accumulate some ICP between $5 and $6. And I was at a big major loss on my spot bags. And this was one of those cryptos that gives you the chance to get out, right? Either in profits or either at least get your investment out, which is what I did. And that's what I did. So I have a free bag right now, which is just there. And it's here for the next cycle, maybe, right? Or go to zero, I don't know. But pump and dump, crypto, altcoins, they're all looking so crappy, guys, that I want to focus mainly on the channel on Bitcoin trading, which is what we started off the channel with back in September of 2020. It was mainly focused on Bitcoin, and that's what we do, and that's what we coming back. When you're in a bear market, it needs to be Bitcoin trading, guys, right? Anyway, legends, thank you very much for joining. Staffer, screw alts. Exactly. Screw altcoins, man. We're here for Bitcoin trading, and that's what we try to do. Okay, shorts, longs, we look at all sorts. Yesterday, shorts from a lower high perspective was the option. Whoever got into shorting this zone, it was not easy with the news. I have to say, it's not easy, but whoever got into this range for a short is in the money, right? Is in the money, legends. Legends, thank you very much. We'll be breaking down another update tomorrow with the new information that we have so we can get some predictions. Make sure to subscribe, have that notification bell on, because the video updates are not getting too much love. Live streams are doing better. Video updates are not doing that well. And video updates, things can change very quickly, but we'll break down a few scenarios that could happen, okay? So if you enjoy the content, make sure to check out the video updates. They don't call him Andy Altcoin Census. It's Bitcoin Census. That's right. Much love to everybody. Guys, remember that you got some great perks. It's another way to support the channel. If you're wanting to get into some trading ideas that we do talk about on the channel, it's another way to support, okay, the channel when you do take advantage of the links down below, okay? Bluffing with that $1,000 bonus, deposit bonus. If you deposit 7K, you get $1,000 on top of that, okay? Just so you're aware, these are bonuses that these exchanges give. I am not a financial advisor. These are just exchanges that I personally use, okay? And also you have Velto, which is a great decentralized platform, all right? You just connect your wallet full custody of your funds. You can connect Ledger, MetaMask, many different wallets, and there's no middleman. You have full custody of your funds, and they have very competitive fees, and they are highly liquid, which is absolutely awesome, guys. You got second link down below on the official website for Velto, which is this decentralized platform. Thank you, legends, for today. Make sure to trade safe, stay safe, and I will see you tomorrow.